The hidden psychology of lost civilizations' friends. Have you ever thought that lost civilizations are not recognized only by piles of stones or ruins of clay? Their real secrets are not hidden in those bricks, but preserved in the dreams, fears, and thoughts that ruled their minds. These very mental patterns, these psychological currents, drove their decisions. Because of them, they sometimes touched the heights of glory, and sometimes, crushed under their own weight, disappeared into the darkness of history. Welcome to Chronicles of Time, where we will lift the veil from the psychology of these lost civilizations. We will see how their thinking became the foundation of both their rise and their downfall. And we will try to understand what lessons their stories hold for us today. Human civilization is always the reflection of the human mind. If the mind is chained in fear, then cities too become fortress-like, where tall walls are built not to defend against outer enemies, but to protect from inner anxieties. If the mind is immersed in dreams, then temples and palaces are built that touch the skies. Ancient ruins are not merely bricks and stones, but a psychological language. Every wall, every pillar, every pattern tells us what that nation thought, what it held sacred, and what fears made it tremble. The height of their temples was their desire to be closer to their gods. Their war fortresses were a declaration that they were constantly consumed by some fear. Their inscriptions bore witness to their collective mind, sometimes of hope, sometimes of fear, and sometimes of blind devotion. The relationship between power and fear. Behind the rise of every great civilization lies the intoxication of power, and behind its fall lies the story of fear. Power may seem like a blessing, but when it becomes bound with fear, it turns into a herald of destruction. Ancient rulers often governed their people through fear. They knew that power could not be sustained for long only with the sword, but with the anxieties of the mind. When people came to believe that the king's command was God's command, they lost their own ability to think. Thus, an entire civilization became trapped in the net of blind obedience. This fear gradually grew so deep that people even reshaped their dreams according to the wishes of their rulers. This union of power and fear seemed to build a strong edifice. But cracks of downfall existed in its foundation from the very beginning. Archaeologists have discovered settlements in America where fear was part of daily life. The paintings on the walls of temples show that people would even sacrifice their children to please their gods. The structures of their houses reveal that they lived every day as if some heavenly calamity was about to strike them. These paintings and ruins are not merely architecture, but reflections of psychology. They tell us that their greatest guide was not knowledge, but fear. Their decisions were not based on logic, but on anxieties. The story. A priest's diary. In an ancient temple in America, archaeologists discovered a text that shocked everyone. It was part of a priest's diary. He wrote, "We sacrifice everything to please. Our fear does not lessen, but only grows." These lines reveal the depth of a mental state. They prove that their minds were bound by fear and dissatisfaction. These were not just religious rituals, but a psychological trap that had gripped the entire nation. Another common feature of lost civilizations was that their people were slaves of the collective mind. If the majority believed that a certain god was angry, then everyone else accepted it. If the majority decided that someone must be sacrificed, no one questioned it. Those who asked questions were often punished or declared worthy of sacrifice. Thus, freedom of thought gradually disappeared. The entire nation was imprisoned in collective stagnation, where individual opinion became a crime. Old civilizations always dreamed that their cities would last forever. They believed that their buildings, their palaces, and their temples would withstand the test of time. But the reality was that their dreams stood on weak foundations. Fear, blind devotion, and unrealistic expectations hollowed out their thinking. They forgot that true power lies in wisdom, knowledge, and realism, not in rituals and anxieties alone. Their weak psychological foundations led them to the brink of destruction. Friends, when we look deeply into the psychology of these civilizations, a terrifying truth comes forward. Their greatest enemy was not outside, but inside. It was the inner fear that kept forcing them into blind rituals. It was greed that blinded their rulers. It was blind devotion that distanced them from truth. This inner poison slowly consumed their entire civilization until the moment came when their cities, their dreams, and their identity were all buried in the dust of history. A lesson for today, friends. These stories are not just tales of the past, but also mirrors of today. We too often get caught in the net of collective mentality. We accept others' thinking as our reality. We make decisions in blind devotion and allow fear to dominate our lives. If we do not gain control over our psychology, if we do not embrace truth, knowledge, and freedom of thought, then our story may also end like those ruins. This is the real lesson of lost civilizations. True downfall does not come from outside, it is born from within. These were the hidden psychologies of lost civilizations, secrets that still warn us today. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe to Chronicles of Time so you can watch our upcoming videos first. In the next video, we will open a new door, the lost voices of history that still call to us. In it, we will listen to the voices that still reach our ears from the ruins and remnants of these civilizations. So stay with us, because the real journey is yet to begin.